So, just what should we expect from here on out the rest of this season from JT Daniels and the Georgia Bulldogs? They're 5-2 now. This game with South Carolina coming up the Saturday of Thanksgiving, and there's still a lot to play for. And I'm going to talk about that right now and what this all means moving forward. Okay, because you're not seeing the traditional end of the season with Georgia Tech, but what can you learn from here on out from a Georgia team that is sort of catching its breath during this wild run that is the 2020 season. Dean Leggett from Dog Post, making you a smarter Georgia fan. If you're joining us for the first time, thanks for watching. We have a newsletter at the end of the show, if you want to call this a show, at the end of the video that I want you to click on. But the biggest thing here we're going to talk about is where does Georgia move forward from here? All right, so there is a lot of movement already in the SEC today. Some some games canceled. Vanderbilt and Missouri and Tennessee shuffling things around at the end of the year. You never know what will happen with Georgia and South Carolina, but let's just say they play Saturday night like it's scheduled. Are you going to get the same thing from J.D. Daniels 2 games in a row? Or, not even 400 yards, but just solid production, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions, or 2 touchdowns, 1 interception, 250 yards, with a run game. This right now is looking a lot like the 2016 season for Georgia at the end of the year. And they caught momentum, and I've told stories about this in the past. They caught momentum at the end of the year with Jacob Eason and company, just the offense in general, up in Lexington when they kicked a field goal to win it late and win that game. That was an important moment in the life of Kirby Smart's program. And in a year where it's going to be now impossible for Georgia to get to 10 wins for the 4th season in a row just because of how many games they're playing, it is important to position yourself for 2021. Because when you look at what Daniels did Saturday night, that was serious quarterback play. That wasn't just throwing the ball. There were times, when you hit Jermaine Burton, who Matt DeBerry and I have talked about for years now, and you're seeing what he can do. When you hit him wide open in the end zone, when you've got guys like George and Kieras, they drop those balls in the end zones. Well, let's be honest. How many more times are they going to drop balls? George Pickens doesn't drop a lot of balls. Kieras did, and then he recovered. So the part that everybody's been so eager to get right, got right Saturday night. The question I've got moving forward is, now that you've got some new ingredients in your cake, can you put it all together? This is probably a 9-layer cake, right? There's a lot of cutting. There's a lot of, mixturing. There's a lot of mixing to be done from here on out. This is an important moment and time for Georgia. They're going to have to make sure to get it right and get it together. And Daniels is now an important part of that. Saturday night, Kirby said, hey, look, he's our guy moving forward. He didn't say it like that, but that's basically what he said. And then today, Monday, after talking with Kirby, just a ton of questions about JT Daniels. But I know quarterbacks can go up and down. The way that Justin Fields played this past weekend, that can happen to really good quarterbacks like Justin. And apparently it can happen to guys like JT too, because he's not just walking on water out there. So where does Georgia go? How do they get this right? Now that they certainly seem like they got the rest of this season figured out in terms of quarterback, how does that position them for a relatively rough, I guess you could say, 2021? You starting the season against Clemson. You got to deal with Arkansas and Athens, Gators, obviously. You got to go to Knoxville. You got to go to Auburn. These are tough, games. It's a challenging schedule for Georgia starting off with Clemson. That should be a top, 8 game, top 5 game. I don't know. They both will be in the top 10. So this is a moment where if you're Kirby and Georgia, can you take what you had Saturday and for these next 4 games, the bowl game plus these final games against South Carolina, Vanderbilt, and Mizzou, can you be steady? Can you put it together for 3 straight games on offense? Can you get the type of production from the run game that you're used to and only half of what you got from JT Daniels? That would be a huge step forward for this program. Just that alone, having balance and fear for a defense to have to deal with both. Because what we saw with the other night was what Kieras Jackson has been talking about, explosion. Kirby said it again today. Hey, we've seen explosion at times in practice. Now I believe them. I am always skeptical in the summer about, what's going on inside the program because it's always good news. Now we saw what people were hoping for, but didn't see it until Game 7. So this is an important moment for Georgia. It's an important time. And one way that you can keep up with that is our newsletter, which you can see right here. Make sure that you're signing up for it. A lot of people from YouTube have been doing that. If you're on Facebook watching, please do the same thing. Go to dogpost.com, sign up for the newsletter. You're going to get everything you need out of it. We'll see you on the website, Dean Legge for Dog Post, making you a smarter Georgia fan.